Right now, there is police activity in the area of Murray and Galley in Colorado Springs. The streets are all blocked off in that area, so you're asked to avoid that area if at all possible. We have heard reports of 2 officers down, and we do have crews in that area trying to get you the latest information. We want to go out live to Colleen Sikora, who is there on the corner. And Colleen, heavy police presence there.
Yeah, Heather, as you can see behind me, dozens of law enforcement vehicles are on scene.
At this point, we are being told that 1 deputy has died and 2 others were injured in the shooting in East Colorado Springs, those 2 others being officers. That's in addition to any suspects that may have been injured or killed. We have no information on that.
We're awaiting a press conference there at Memorial Hospital.
All right, looks like they're going to start talking at the news conference at Memorial Central. Let's listen in right now. It's Jackie Kirby from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming.
It is with profound sadness that I say that this afternoon, Deputy Micah Flick, 34 years old, was shot in the line of duty and has died.
There we just heard
Confirm what we feared all afternoon. In fact, it's even a little bit worse than what we thought in terms of the total number of law enforcement officers injured.
34-year-old Deputy Micah Flick was shot and killed this afternoon. He is survived by his wife and 7-year-old twins. Today was his 11th anniversary with the Sheriff's Office. He was hired February 5th, 2007. According to Sheriff Bill Elder, quote, "He is an outstanding member of my agency and he will be missed."
We would encourage everybody to keep Deputy Flick's family in their thoughts and prayers, as well as the other people who were injured tonight. Definitely a sad day for our community, and we will get through it together.
For the 3rd time in 37 days, a deputy in Colorado has been killed in the line of duty. This time, the tragedy hitting on our own home turf. Good evening, I'm Heather Skold.
And I'm Bart Bedsole. Thanks for making us your choice for local news at 10 o'clock. We have team coverage tonight on the shooting this afternoon that claimed the life of an El Paso County deputy, the latest deputy killed in a senseless act of violence. We begin with a closer look at what we know about the deadly confrontation today. It happened inside the Murray Hills Apartments near Galley and Murray in southeast Colorado Springs.
I heard the shot, then I come on out here.
Video broadcasted live on Facebook by a neighbor at the apartment complex.
We try and bring him back to life.
Shows a frantic scene. Paramedics desperately trying to save 3 people on the ground with critical injuries. Much of the video too graphic to share. The officers and deputies were part of an auto theft task force, a group made up of multiple agencies that specializes in stolen vehicles. And when they confronted their suspect today, disaster.
They were investigating a motor vehicle theft. They encountered an adult male suspect. A struggle ensued, and shots were fired.
When it was over, the suspect was dead at the scene. The others were all rushed to Memorial Central Hospital. In all, 6 people were shot. The suspect, a civilian hit by a stray bullet, a Colorado Springs police officer, and 3 El Paso County deputies, including Detective Micah Flick. The announcement coming from Sheriff Bill Elder just after 6 p.m.
It is with profound sadness that I say that this afternoon, Deputy Micah Flick, 34 years old, was shot in the line of duty and has died.
Tonight, there is no distinction between our uniforms, State Patrol, Sheriff's Office, and the Colorado Springs Police Department. Our hearts are all broken.
And tonight, we pause to remember the man who died serving and protecting this community, Deputy Micah Flick. It was 11 years ago today, Deputy Flick started his service with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office.
11 years serving. 11 years making our community a safer place. This day started like any other, ending like no one imagined.
Good evening, everybody. It is It is with profound sadness that I say that this afternoon, Deputy Micah Flick, 34 years old, was shot in the line of duty and has died.
Micah Flick, 34 years old. The detective worked his way through the ranks, starting at the Criminal Justice Center and Patrol.
Very, very well liked, very, very well respected.
Deputy Flick was an outstanding member of my agency, and he will be missed.
Deputy Flick is survived by his wife and twins, 7 years old. A grief never as deep as this.
As you saw earlier, it was a chaotic scene at Galley and Murray in the minutes after the shooting at the Murray Hill Apartments. News Channel 13's Colleen Sikora has been on the scene all day. She is live once again tonight. Colleen?
Bart and Heather, crime tape is still up here on scene as law enforcement continue their investigation into what happened here. This is the most quiet that we've seen this scene all day, but earlier, chaos. A deputy calling frantically.
21 Murray Hill Apartments. We got an officer down, at least one officer down.
Law enforcement rushing to the scene.
We need multiple ambulances.
Mary Flo Horan heard it all.
A little close for comfort.
She lives in the Murray Hill Apartments and was putting on her shoes to leave when shots rang out.
It was less than a minute, probably like only 30 seconds. I heard like a pop, and then there was a slight pause, and then I heard like a pop, 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 and then there was another pause, and I heard probably 1 or 2 more gunshots, and then it was over.
When she got outside, she ran into a man who she believes was the suspect.
I saw the guy come around the corner. He was limping really badly and holding in his hip, and he went inside my building.
All we have right now, suspect is in number 105. I don't have any further at this point.
Horan says she's seen him before and he lives at the complex. But it's this scene leaving Deputy Micah Flick dead. 2 deputies and 1 CSPD officer injured.
Our cameras were kept at a distance from the scene, but when people who live at the Murray Hill Apartments were allowed to return home, we got a closer look at the crime scene and some exclusive video and interviews from witnesses. KRDO News Channel 13's Crystal Story continues our team coverage tonight.
Heather, the sights and sounds that witnesses saw at this crime scene earlier today will not be easily forgotten. We talked to one man who literally hid under a stairwell while shots were fired.
He went down right before me, maybe 20 foot out in front of me.
When he heard the shots, he hid in his apartment, scared for his life.
Very, very exhilarating, I could say the least. My heart rate was going 100 miles an hour.
This video shot from a balcony just feet from where the shooting happened.
Walking by the stairs, and there's like a wing window you can look out as you walk by. As I was approaching the window, I heard a couple pops, rapid fire, like 2 or 3 shots. And as I turned to the window and looked out, I saw a bunch of people scattering and moving in on one guy.
For those who saw and heard the whole thing, falling asleep won't be easy.
But I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of a man so worthy of honor.
A solemn day in southern Colorado as family, friends, and law enforcement honor Deputy Micah Flick. Thousands gathered to pay their respects to the fallen hero as a procession made its way from New Life Church to his final resting place. We begin our team coverage tonight with a look inside New Life Church this afternoon. His funeral was as honorable as the way Deputy Micah Flick lived his life. More than 100 blue-tipped flowers were placed in 2 vases, each from a different law enforcement agency represented today.
He loved his job, and everyone will tell you that he excelled in every job he held.
The governor said of his 70 funerals as an elected leader, he can't think of one sadder than today's.
Sometimes I wonder if God takes the best among us to remind us to live our lives to the fullest.
You raise me up so I can stand on mountains.
The service was a chance to honor and to remember Deputy Micah Flick, but more than anything, to learn about his life outside of law enforcement, how he was able to balance his life as a deputy with his faith and, most importantly, his family. His wife, Rachel, talked about the daily challenge of watching him leave for work.
And I would say to him, not infrequently, babe, don't be a hero. Do your job and do it well, but don't be a hero. But here's the problem. Here's the problem with Micah is that he was a hero. He is a hero, and he couldn't help it. He couldn't help it.
But Rachel Flick didn't just speak as a grieving widow. Showing the same strength as her fallen husband, she talked about the larger problem of how much of society views police today.
And I want to say to you that it's not confusing why Micah died, because we have a cultural epidemic of a lack of respect for law enforcement and authority.
His heart was more pure than any other man I ever met.
He's a hero not for how he died, but for how he lived.
X-ray 26, Detective Micah Flick. Thank you for your bravery and years of service. You will not be forgotten. End of watch.
At the funeral, we also learned a little bit more about Deputy Flick's final moments on Monday afternoon. Both his wife and Sheriff Bill Elder talked about his final act of service, not just taking a bullet in the line of duty, but physically putting himself in between his killer and his fellow deputies, something they believe at least saved the life of Deputy Scott Stone and maybe others as well. Now, the issue of respecting law enforcement was not addressed just by Rachel Flick today, but many others at the funeral, from the governor to local authorities. News Channel 13's Chase Golightly caught up with many who attended today. He's live in the studio with what they said during this difficult time. Chase.
Bart, since the beginning of the year, we've had 3 deputies, all in different counties, killed in the line of duty. The latest being Deputy Micah Flick. But we can't forget Deputy Zachary Parrish and Deputy Heath Gum. Many people at the funeral tonight saying enough is enough.
Led by officers mounted on horseback on a cold, snowy afternoon, hundreds stood outside and watched as the body of Deputy Micah Flick was brought to the front of New Life Church.
This is a good kid, and he was a great cop. And so there's a lot of people that are here to honor him.
Thousands mourning the death of a deputy just doing his job to protect his community. Governor John Hickenlooper was one of those people. He says the violence against law enforcement has gone too far.
Clearly, we've got a serious problem. I mean, it's a big issue.
Moved by Rachel Flick's speech, he says the problem stems from a lack of appreciation.
Well, I think it's a respect for authority, she said as well, and I think that's really where it starts.
And it's the third one in 40 days. It's tough. And they're all sheriff's deputies, which is crazy.
El Paso County Sheriff Bill Elder agrees. These deadly shootings against our men in blue need to stop.
You know, the just senseless violence in this world is, we've got to find a way to stop.
Police from all corners of the state gathered for the funeral of their fallen brother. A sergeant with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, who lost a deputy this year, says hearing of another tragedy like this is heartbreaking.
Part of it was disbelief. Some was anger. A lot of sadness. It was the feeling of enough's enough.
After the ceremony, everyone watched as those who knew Flick carried his casket outside. While Deputy Flick is laid to rest, Sheriff Elder says the support should not end here.
Just remember that it doesn't end today. We need to stand behind these families and these officers for a long time.
Cars lined up behind the hearse carrying Flick to follow him one last time.
After today's service, law enforcement officers and other emergency responders took part in that large procession from New Life Church to Woodman and Meridian in Falcon. We flew our News Channel 13 drone over the procession. These are the images from the sky of the incredible show of support from law enforcement and the community as people lined the route of that procession to pay their respects to this fallen hero. From above, you can see the hearse pass under the large American flag that bridged the highway. It was escorted by flashing lights from hundreds of emergency vehicles. News Channel 13's Casey Kirshner talked with some of those along the route today.
Thousands of people posted along the procession route, armed with flags, salutes, bowed heads, people leaning on each other, all the way down the 13-mile stretch.
Unfortunately, it's a bad situation that we're out here with, but you know, one way or another, we have to show our support in every which way we can.
It's just something that is very simple for to come and do when they're putting so much of their life on the line.
A massive flag flown by fire crews, a show of love and support from another branch of emergency response.
This is so important for the family
to give a hero's send-off, and we just feel very strongly about that to support our brothers and sisters.
Everyone braving the cold and snow to make sure Deputy Micah Flick's family and the sheriff's office know just how much this loss is felt.
These guys come out here every day, and inclement weather doesn't matter to them. They're out here, and it shouldn't be a big deal for us to be out here as well, just to show our support.
It's really sad to know that the people that are protecting us are having their lives taken.
With Coloradans out for the third time in just 5 weeks.
It's way too close to home, and this has been happening too much.
But through it all, this community sending a clear message. Deputy Flick will be remembered for the hero he was.
Thank you. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your commitment.
And he will never be forgotten. In Falcon, Casey Kirshner, KRDO News Channel 13.